Welcome to today's deep dive. If you follow psychology or cognitive behavioral therapy or, even basic performance science, you probably already know the baseline premise.
Right, the idea that our thoughts dictate our reality.
Exactly. But today we are skipping the introductory stuff. We are going straight into the actual granular mechanics of how you can rewrite that internal code.
Because it's one thing to know the theory, but it's another to actually decode the specific architecture of that thinking-feeling connection in real time.
Yeah, and to do that, we've pulled a pretty dense stack of sources for you today. We're looking at academic psychology guides from Dartmouth, clinical intervention modules for overcoming depression, specifically the Back from the Blue As program from the Center for Clinical Interventions.
Which is a fantastic resource, by the way.
It really is. We also have rigorous performance protocols from the Army Resilience Directorate, plus some advanced research on mindset and Dr. Martin Seligman's concept of learned optimism. So it's a lot of ground to cover.
It is a comprehensive stack. And what really ties all these seemingly disparate sources together is this focus on operationalizing mental resilience. We aren't just looking at abstract theories of positive thinking here.
Right, we're looking at the actual engine.
Exactly. We are looking at how a soldier maintains lethal focus under fire, how a clinical patient walks back from severe depression, and how you can use those exact same mechanical frameworks to navigate a highly volatile world. The mission today is to help you move from being a passive recipient of your automatic thoughts to a strategic architect of your emotional state.
I love that phrase, strategic architect. But, to set the stage for those advanced frameworks, we need to briefly address what the clinical module calls the grand illusion.
Ah, yes, the trap we all fall into.
We all do it. Even for those familiar with cognitive behavioral principles, this illusion is so deeply embedded in our language that it constantly trips us up. We routinely say things to each other like, my boss made me so nervous today, or traffic makes me furious.
Yeah, we operate on this default, unquestioned assumption that an external event acts directly upon our nervous system to produce a feeling.
Right, like it's a direct cause and effect. A happens, so I feel B.
But that linguistic habit masks the hidden step in the cognitive process. The assumption that someone or something else determines our emotional experience completely ignores the perception that sits right between the event and the reaction.
Because the thoughts happen so fast.
Right. Precisely. They happen so fast and so automatically that the brain essentially skips the middleman in our conscious awareness. We confuse the judgment of the event with the actual emotion it produces.
Okay, let's unpack this with a simple scenario from the sources to establish a baseline for everyone. Imagine you are at a networking event or a party, and you are introduced to someone named Mike.
Okay, poor Mike is about to be our test subject.
Right. So you're talking to Mike, but while you were speaking, Mike constantly looks over your shoulder. He's checking the door, scanning the room, never holding eye contact with you. Now, the event itself is completely neutral. It's just a person shifting their gaze.
Literally just a biological movement of the eyes.
Exactly. But the emotional outcome for you is wildly variable depending on the instantaneous thought you attach to it. If you think, he's blatantly disrespecting me, your biological response is anger.
You feel your heart rate go up.
Yeah. But if you think, I must be incredibly boring, I don't belong here at this party, your response is a sharp drop in self-worth. You feel sad or depressed.
And if you take a third route, if you think he's clearly anxious about whoever he's waiting for, your response might just be calm empathy. You might even feel bad for him.
The exact same event. Three totally different realities.
And this is where we have to separate the thought from the feeling. When someone says, I feel like my colleagues don't respect my input, we have to pause and realize that is not a feeling.
It's an assessment.
Exactly. It's a cognitive assessment of a situation. It's a thought. The feeling is anxiety or resentment or hurt. Untangling the assessment from the biological emotion is the prerequisite for everything else we are going to discuss today. You just cannot re-engineer a machine if you don't know what the parts are called.
Which brings us perfectly to the architectural blueprint of that machine. The Dartmouth Guide unpacks Dr. Albert Ellis's ABC model, which maps this hidden step explicitly.
This is a classic foundational model.
It really is. So A stands for the adversity, the objective situation. B is the belief, which is your internal explanation of why it happened. And C is the consequence, the actual feelings and behaviors that result.
A, B, C, adversity, belief, consequence.
To see this in action, the sources contrast two individuals, let's call them Mary Jo and Anna. They were facing the exact same adversity. They find out a mutual friend, Janice, was invited to a party while they were both left off the guest list.
Ouch, we've all been there.
Right, so the A, the adversity. is fixed. But the divergence happens entirely at the B stage. Mary Jo's belief defaults to a catastrophic assessment. She thinks, Janice is always included, I am fundamentally unlikable, I'm a total loser.
And the consequence is highly predictable based on that specific belief. Because she internalizes it so deeply, she feels depressed. The sources note she actually abandons her 2-month streak of healthy eating and jogging, eats a whole box of candy, and just isolates herself.
Meanwhile, Anna processes the identical adversity through a completely different belief. She assesses the situation and thinks, well, I don't know the host very well, maybe next time.
A very measured belief.
Yeah, and because her belief doesn't attack her core identity, the consequence is minimal. She acknowledges a little minor disappointment, sure, but she goes for her scheduled run, rents a comment video, and invites a different friend over. The A was exactly the same, but the B dictated two completely different realities.